Two big pieces of news have come out, one coming out soon. The first one was consumer sentiment on Friday came out, tumbled in June. Despite largely resilient growth in the U.S. economy, it showed sentiment hit its lowest level in 7 months during June. The index reading for the month came in at 65.6, down from 69.1 in May, and lower than the 72 economists had expected. We talked about this in other videos. We've said in other videos, we're hearing things like you see sales of companies like Target, Home Depot, Lowe's, same store sales are down. You go, if the consumer is very strong, why are those same store sales down? Again, pure speculation, not trying to put fear, uncertainty, and doubt in people's eyes. Just taking information in and asking, what does this mean? I do think the consumer is showing a little bit more hesitation going forward.
That's a good word.
Yeah, hesitation. Remember, how much of the recent stock market gains have been because of one or two companies? Big chunk.
Huge.
Makes us feel warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah, but what's the underlying issue?
Yeah, when you have consumer sentiment in here, not feeling good about things, and consumers are 68 to 70% of the U.S. economy, guys. We are a consumer economy. So when you see the consumer being a little bit more hesitant, a little more fear, now remember, it is a lagging indicator. Things happen, then the consumer feels bad.
Right.
Things, that's the issue. If you go look at consumer sentiment during the bottoms of recessions, they're terrible. Why? Because it's like, well, they're feeling that recession still. Now, what else came out today? Manufacturing. The New York Manufacturing Index came out. Also surprised some people here. Guys, look at these negative numbers here.
Whoa.
Came in at -6 in June after a -15.6 in May. That's pretty rough, guys.
Yeah.
This is manufacturing. What are we building? What are we making? I'm looking at this saying, if that's a driver of jobs, that could be why people are more apprehensive. You sit there and look at these things coupling together. Again, the Fed raised rates for a reason. They wanted to slow down costs. When you slow down costs, you sit there and say, okay, costs are now lower. This is good. Inflation's decreasing. Families aren't being screwed as much because of this tax on people called inflation. It's a tax at the end of the day because it decreases your purchasing power. Now, if you like this kind of stuff, if you like hearing about results from companies, which we're going to talk about in 2 seconds, these different indexes, et cetera, talking about the economy, subscribe to the channel. This channel is dedicated 4 or 5 videos per week where we respond, we react to what's going on in the economy and with companies. Mo, this is a very light week for earnings results, right? Here are the earnings releases. What are the 2 big ones you're looking at?
Lenar and KB Homes.
What do they do?
So they're both home builders, guys. They build a lot of those new neighborhoods, and they have been flossing, but
they have been.
Now
but
with
why?
interest rates where because of supply and demand.
That's right.
There's not a lot of supply out there.
The demand's still there, but the supply is not there.
Correct. And now I'm wondering, now that interest rates are kind of sustaining where they're at, are people going to go and buy a new home?
So it's interesting. As you know, Mo, I'm looking for a lake house with Lisa.
Yeah.
And we've been looking in Georgia and Texas. The number of houses that I'm getting notifications on with Zillow saying price reduction, price reduction. I even told Lisa the other day, I'm like, Lisa, I get these automatic emails in my Yahoo mail, right? Literally, I had 4 in a row that said price reduction on 4 different properties. And one of them was huge price reduction. I was like, oh my God, we're talking about 15% price reduction. Yeah. I remember thinking to myself, like, okay, what's the reason? Supply? Maybe people have caught up saying, listen, you put a house on the market, it goes for a ton of money. Let's go put my house on the market. Yeah. And more people are, as time goes on, and more people get the higher interest rate loans, it's going to be easier for them to move on and find a different house. But right now, we've said this before, if you have a 3% mortgage, you're only moving because you have to move. These home builders have been killing it lately because the biggest issue has been supply.
Yeah.
You go to see a house for sale.
It's gone.
Gone. Bidding war. Absolutely gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But with home builders, they have the land locked down. They're just like, hey, who wants this? Yeah, we'll build this for you. Yeah, you don't get it today, but you'll get it 6 to 8 months from now, and it'll be the house you want.
And it's brand new.
And it's brand spanking new. And a lot of these builders, I see the average, because we've looked in Dallas for a new house. And what's it saying to us? We can get you lower rates. We have incentivized rates. And it's like, oh, interesting. Yeah. Now, all they're doing is probably buying down the rate with some sort of discount on the home. But I'm looking at it going, okay. But I've seen a lot of houses have price drops. Are things softening for the housing market? Not crashing. Do not take this as there's going to be a crash. I love when I see it on Twitter. People are like, oh, housing is going to crash. No, not necessarily.
The Fed Watch tool, that rate cut number, 10%, it went over 10% for the July 31st meeting.
Wow.
If you want to
guys,
think about that at all.
5 or 6 months ago, 7 months ago, it was, we're going to have 6 or 7 rate cuts in 2024. Now I saw local great Neil Kashkari, the president of the Minnesota Fed, came out and said high probability or something like that of a December rate cut.
Oh,
now, guys, any one of these points, they don't mean anything. It's about looking at it all together. I said it before in other videos when we did Lowe's and Home Depot on our main channel. On this channel, we did the earnings results. Like, man, what would cause same-store sales to fall so much at these companies? Like Home Depot, Lowe's, Target. But then Walmart, same-store sales are up a lot. To me, that's we're being cautious on spending and we're going to go buy as much as we can from a place like Walmart. Is that a consumer getting worried? Is that a consumer having issues? You've always seen about credit card levels are increasing and increasing and increasing. Now, relative to GDP, they're not so bad, but they keep going up. You see car loans.
Yeah.
A good car borrower now is getting 8.5%, 9% on a car loan.
Right.
It's going to cause some problems. You've seen how the used car market used to be. You bought a car and you were paying, you could sell it immediately the next day for $20,000 more.
Right.
Right? But now what's happening is, yeah, you can find cars in the lots. There's that big car dealership when I go home on Miles Road. I forget, it's a Chevy dealership. I remember 2.5 years ago, it was empty.
Tim Lally,
thank you.
Yeah.
Now it is packed with cars.
Yeah.
So things are turning. Things don't last forever. That's what we try to teach on this channel. Good times don't last forever. Bad times don't last forever. We will be very interested to see how Lenar and KB Home does.
I can't wait.
Because it's going to say a lot about what do they see about the future.
Another interesting one is Darden.
Darden Group, restaurants.
Doing? Actually,
the OG in Winnebago.
Because Winnebago is interesting because that's like a luxury area. You're not going to go and overspend there if you're trying to tighten your belt.
If you're trying to tighten your belt, you ain't buying a $200,000 Winnebago.
Nope. Hell, you might not even buy a $20,000 one.
That's the point. It's like there's a lot of great boat manufacturers out there. Malibu boats, things like that I love. But I look at them going, man, these are very cyclical businesses. Winnebago, it's a very cyclical business. Any pullback in the recession, the first thing you're going to cut out, if you already have a $500,000 home, why are you going to buy a $250,000 Winnebago? You're not going to. Those are the ones that'll be very interesting to see. I'm glad you brought this up, Mo.
Yeah,
Winnebago is a very important one for us to see about what's going on with the consumer because these are high-end consumer items. This isn't Ferrari. Ferrari's not affected by the economy. No. Louis Vuitton is not affected that much by it, but even the luxury brands have been saying we're seeing a softening, which is very surprising. So guys, we're going to have a few more videos coming out this week, especially if anything crazy happens. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your time.